For the materials, you're going to need your basic supplies like your crochet hook. I recommend a 4, 4.5, or 5 millimeter hook. A scissor, a needle for the bow pouch because we're going to be doing some sewing. And then of course your yarn, I recommend a DK or medium weight yarn. I'm using 100% acrylic yarn. And I have them linked on my Amazon storefront, the exact yarn and shades I'm using. These are the colors that I'll be using. I recommend picking your color scheme before you start because we're going to be making some colorful granny squares. For the envelope shaped granny square pouch, I used my solid granny square tutorial and crocheted this granny square. It's from round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if you want to make it the same size as mine, you can do up to 7 rounds by following that tutorial. Once you're done, we're going to add a border with a different color. So here's how you're going to end the color that you're working with. After you've slip stitched into the last double crochet, you're just going to chain 1, get your scissor and cut the yarn, then pull and tighten to fasten off and secure your work. Now go ahead and get the yarn color that you want to use for the different colored edge. You can attach this yarn anywhere you want. There's no specific place that you have to start. I'm just going to do it from over here. So insert your hook into any stitch anywhere in the granny square and make a little loop with your yarn like this so you can very easily just pull up a loop. Now you're going to chain 1 and we're basically going to single crochet all around the granny square. So go ahead and insert your hook back through that same stitch. Make sure that you're working over this end over here. And now we're going to single crochet. So that's going to be your first single crochet. You can tighten this. Now go into the next stitch. Make sure you're working over the ends. Yarn over, pull up a loop, and then yarn over, pull through 2 to make another single crochet. Now go ahead and do this all around the granny square. You just have to insert 1 single crochet into every stitch. Once you reach the corner of the granny square or the space where you've got 2 chains, you're going to insert 3 single crochets into the hole, so not into the chain. Insert your hook into the hole, and you're going to do 3 single crochets. That's 1, 2, and 3. That's going to keep your hole stretched out. It's not going to let it bunch up or curl in. And once you're done with that, just go ahead and do 1 single crochet into every stitch all the way around. Make sure that you don't accidentally skip any stitches. That's going to make your work look a lot neater. Try to keep an even tension so we have some nice straight edges. Go ahead and do this all the way around the square, and once you reach your corner holes or the chain 2 space, you can insert 3 single crochets in there. Once you've crocheted all the way around, here's how you're going to end your work. So you're going to insert your hook into that very first single crochet that you made at the beginning. This might be a little bit hard to get into. Once you're through, you're just going to slip stitch to close up this round. And you can chain 1 so we can fasten off and secure our work. And you'll be done with the border color. To make a bow, you're going to chain a long chain. This is around 30 or 40 chains, I'm not sure, but it has to be pretty long. Then you can just trim the edges, cut them off a little bit, but only after you've tightened them a lot because you don't want it fastening off. Now I'm going to show you how to tie this into a bow. So I'm going to make 2 loops like this, and I'm going to wrap the loops around each other. And then there's going to be a little hole over here, so you have to get this loop through the hole and then pull both of them. And that's going to make your bow, and then you just adjust it however you want until it looks good. Now I'm going to show you how to turn this granny square into a pouch. So this is going to be the back side of your work, and this is going to be the front side of your work. So the front side, oopsies, the front side of your work is going to look cleaner, while the back side is going to be a little bit messier. And then you're going to fold your work in. So you're going to fold this piece, and then this piece, and then that piece, folding it into a shape like that. Now look at your corner spaces that you had here, and I would recommend getting some stitch markers for this. Find the middle of the 3 single crochets that we did. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Find the middle one and insert your stitch marker through it. Now go ahead into the next space. Those are your 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3. So go into the middle one or the second single crochet and move your stitch marker there as well, just to join it together so that it doesn't move. Now repeat on the other side. So once again, we've got 3 single crochets, 1, 2, and 3. Go into the middle or the second one, and then the same one over here. Like that. So that's basically how we're going to join it. So I sewed this side over here to show you what the finished piece would look like. I tried a lot of different joining methods. I tried doing a slip stitch with a hook. I tried turning it inside out, but there's always sort of like a little bump here. So you're free to choose whatever kind of joining method you'd like, but I'm going to show you what I did to make it look like that. So I've got a needle. You can get any needle as long as your yarn goes through it. It's completely fine. I'm going to fold the corner in like that and then go through both of the sides. So you have to make sure that you're grabbing both of the sides on your needle, and then I'm going to pull and I'm going to tie this into a knot to secure it in place. Now I'm going to go back through the stitches, making sure that I grab both of them on my needle before I slide the yarn through. Now that my yarn is facing this side, so it's on the right side, I'm going to insert my needle from the right side. So go through 2 stitches again like this and come out. Now my needle is on the left side, so I'm going to insert my needle from the left side. And you're going to repeat this pattern. So now my yarn is on the right side, so my needle goes in from the right side. Yarn is on the left side, needle goes in through the left side. I'm going to do this all the way up until I reach my stitch marker. When I came up, I've got my yarn here, so I'm just going to directly sew the bow on as well. Now, if you're using a button or any kind of closure, you don't have to do this step, but if you're making something out of crochet, for example, a crochet heart, a star, or a bow like me, then you can directly sew your piece on without having to fasten off after this part. So I'm just going to get my needle and I'm going to put it through the back of the bow like this. And then tighten, and the bow will be over there. And I'm going to go back through that same stitch again just to secure it a little bit more. And pull, and then adjust the bow to make sure that it looks like how I want it to look. Once you're done, you can tie a knot, fasten off, and then cut your yarn, and you will be all done with your cute little pouch. Now, here's how I insert the bow through the hole. So I'm going to take the ends, and I'm going to take the bow's twisty things, and I'm going to slide them through. Then I just pull the bow out of the hole and just adjust it a little bit. And there you go. Now you have an easy closure, and you didn't have to use a button or get any other supplies for this. You just use your yarn and your hook. For the mini case, we're going to be making a basic granny square with a few color changes. We're going to start off by making a magic ring. Now, if you find this tricky, please don't worry. Just pay attention to how I'm holding my yarn and how I'm moving my fingers, and you will be able to do it. So make sure that the tail of your yarn is facing you on your fingers like this, then use your thumb to hold it in place. Wrap your yarn around your fingers, making sort of like an X shape, and turn it towards you so that you're looking at your nails. Then use your ring finger to hold the yarn in place like that, and you'll see this X over here. Insert your hook under the X and grab onto this loop over here with your hook facing down. Bring it up and twist like that. You can move your ring finger to still maintain the X shape. Then you can grab onto this end over here with your hook and slide it through to make a chain 1 and let go, and you'll have your magic ring. Now we have to do 2 more chains because the pattern starts off with 3 chains. Now we have to insert 2 double crochets inside the magic ring. So you're going to yarn over, insert your hook, making sure that you're working over both of these yarn pieces over here. Yarn over and pull up a loop. Then you're going to yarn over and pull through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the other 2 loops. Go ahead and do this one more time to make your second double crochet. And that's the first part of your square. Since a square has 4 sides, we have to repeat this shape 3 more times. So we're going to chain 2. Now we're going to insert 3 double crochets inside the magic ring. So yarn over, and we're going to do our first double crochet. Yarn over again, that's going to be your second double crochet. One more time, that's going to be our third double crochet. To make it easier, you can pull your magic ring in a little bit tighter. Go ahead and chain 2, 3 more double crochets again. So 1, 2, and 3. Let's do this one more time. So chain 2 and 3 double crochets inside the magic ring. That's going to be 1, 2, and 3. And that's what your work will look like. Now you can grab your magic ring and pull this in to close up the hole like that. Now we're going to end our square, so we're just going to complete the pattern by chaining 2 more. Now you have to find that 3rd chain. So remember in the beginning we did chain 1, 2, and 3. You're going to insert your hook into that 3rd chain at the very top, right in the middle like that, and then you're going to slip stitch. And that's going to be the end of your first round. You can close the hole in even more. Now we're going to switch colors, so we're going to fasten off over here, chain 1, and cut the yarn, pull and tighten. Get the next color that you want to use, and we're going to start working into the chain 2 space that we made. So remember, you're going to have 4 corners. So each of the chain 2 spaces are your corner right over here. So insert your hook into the hole or the chain 2 space like that and pull your yarn up. And we're going to secure it in place with a knot. So just tie a knot. Now as you're working, make sure that you're working over your ends so that you don't have to weave them in later. Now we're going to pull up a loop like that, and we're going to chain 3. Chain 3 counts as our first double crochet, so we have to insert 2 more double crochets into the same hole. So yarn over, and we're going to do 2 double crochets in the same chain 2 space. So that's 1, and that's going to be my 2nd double crochet. Now we're going to chain 2, and we're going to insert another 3 double crochets into the same chain 2 space. So go right back into that same space, and we're going to do 3 more double crochets. You can move them a little bit to the side to make space for more. Right now I'm doing my 2nd. And that's going to be my 3rd double crochet like that. So we have to insert this pattern right over here into each of these corners. So I'm going to do this one more time, then you can carry on by yourself. So chain 1. And now we're going to insert 3 double crochets into the next chain 2 space. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to chain 2 and insert another 3 double crochets into the same chain 2 space. 1, 2, and 3. And now let's repeat the same thing into this chain 2 space and this one as well. So don't forget to chain 1. Now in this chain 2 space, insert 3 double crochets, then chain 2 and insert another 3 double crochets back into that same space. Once you're done, we're going to repeat it one last time. So chain 1 again, and in the next chain 2 space, we're going to do 3 double crochets, chain 2, and another 3 double crochets. So the same pattern we've been doing in the other spaces. And now we're going to end our work, so chain 1 and find the top of that chain 3, so chain 1, 2, and 3. Insert your hook into that 3rd chain like that and slip stitch so we can end this round. Chain 1, cut the yarn, pull and tighten to fasten off and secure. Now we're done with round 2 as well. Grab your next color. I'm making a pattern, so I'm doing white again. And you're going to insert it into your corner. So a corner is once again the chain 2 space. So wherever you have your chain 2 and then a hole, that's going to be referred to as your corner. And the chain 1 space where you only did chain 1, so these ones over here, are just the sides. So let's insert our hook into that corner chain 2 space and do the same thing we did to attach the yarn. Pull it through the hole and then tie a knot to secure it in place. Insert your hook under and pull up a loop. Now you're going to chain 3, and the chain 3 counts as your first double crochet. And we're going to repeat the steps that we do in every chain 2 space. So we're going to insert 2 more double crochets into this space. That's 1 and 2. Then we're going to chain 2 and insert another 3 double crochets into the same space. 1 and 3. And we're done with our first step. And now we're going to continue, so chain 1. Now we're going to insert 3 double crochets inside the chain 1 space. So in every chain 1 space, you're going to insert 3 double crochets, but in every chain 2 space, you're going to repeat the steps that we do for the corner. So that's my second double crochet, and that's going to be my third. Once again, chain 1, so you have to chain 1 after every chain space. Now we're in the chain 2 space again, so we're going to repeat the same steps that we do for the corner. So we're going to do 3 double crochets, 2 and 3. Then we're going to chain 2 and insert another 3 double crochets back into that same space. So we're going to be making another corner. 2 and 3. So now we've completed one side. Now we're going to repeat the same thing that we did over here. We're going to chain 1. And in the chain 1 space, we're going to insert 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. Then don't forget to chain 1, and now you've reached your chain 2 space again. So we're going to repeat the same steps that we do for the corner, which is 3 double crochets, chain 2, and then 3 double crochets into that same space. Now go ahead and chain 1 and repeat the same steps. So I'm going to do 3 double crochets into the chain 1 space and go all the way around. Once you're done, you're just going to chain 1 after the 3 double crochets, and we're ready to fasten off our work. So find the third chain, 1, 2, and 3 at the very top. Insert your hook into that third chain, and then we're going to slip stitch to end the round. Chain 1, and then cut your yarn to fasten off and secure your work. Go ahead and make 2 pieces, one for the front and one for the back. Next, we're going to join these 2 squares together. So this is the right side of your work, it looks pretty clean, and this is the wrong side of your work, it's a little bit messier. Now you can decide which one you like more. So the side that you want to keep on the outside is the side that we're going to fold in. So we're going to join with the right sides facing inwards and the wrong side facing out. And once we're done joining, we're going to flip it inside out so that we have a nice little border. So go ahead and pick any corner to start joining from. We have to join 3 sides together. So 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to, of course, leave this top part open. Insert your hook through that corner chain 2 space. There's no specific place you have to go through. Just pick any one of the corners. Pull your yarn through it, and we're going to secure it here with a knot. Insert your hook back through, pull up a loop, and chain 1 to secure. Now we're going to be slip stitching the sides together. So you're going to insert your hook through the stitch in one square and the stitch on the other square as well, and you have to make sure that these line up. So for example, if you're going through the stitch of the first double crochet here, make sure that you go through the stitch of the first double crochet on the other side as well, not the second, not the third, otherwise your edges won't be neat. And then you're just going to pull the yarn through these stitches and slide it through the loop, making a slip stitch, and you're going to repeat. So go through the stitch of one square, the stitch of the next square, and slip stitch to join. And you're just going to repeat this for all 3 sides that I showed you. Make sure you're going through both of the stitches because that's how you're going to be joining it together. When you reach the chain 1 space, you can just go through the hole. You don't have to go through the chain, and slip stitch. And continue slip stitching all the way down. Now once you reach this next chain 2 corner space, I would recommend going through the chain. So don't just go through the hole and slip stitch. We want really neat edges, so I would recommend pushing your hook through both of the chains. So let's do one set of chains at a time and slip stitch. Now I'm going to do this second chain. These are going to be tricky to get through. Right in the middle of the chains, that's where you're inserting your hook and pushing it through. Then you're just going to slip stitch and then continue slip stitching into each of the stitches like normal, but whenever you reach a chain 2 corner space, you can do that step And whenever you reach a chain one space, like I'm about to right now, you're just going to insert your hook through the hole, not into the chain, and slip stitch. Continue until you've done all 3 sides. Once you're done, this is what your work will look like. I just did one last slip stitch into this corner space, and now we're going to turn our work inside out. So like that, and you're going to have this really cute little neat border. Now we're going to make the top part where you're going to have a nice little neat border again, and you're going to have that little closure that you can close this little pouch with. So into that same place where you slip stitched at the end, you're going to insert your very first single crochet, because we're just going to be single crocheting all the way around. So now you're going to go into each of the stitches and you're going to single crochet at the very top until you reach the middle of the first square. So I've done 3 single crochets. I'm going to single crochet into that chain 1 space as well. Now I've reached the middle over here, so I'm going to chain 3 because we're going to make a little hole for the clasp to go through. Then we're going to skip all of these stitches and single crochet into this chain 1 space. Now I'm just going to insert 1 single crochet into each of these stitches over here until I reach the middle part of the next square. Now I've got my stitches again, so I'm single crocheting into the stitches. Remember, it's just 1 single crochet into every stitch and into the chain 1 space, and we're almost there. So we're going to do 1 more single crochet into this middle double crochet over here. Now we're going to do something a little bit different. In the middle double crochet, we're just going to slip stitch like that, and then we're going to chain the length that we want for our closure. So this has to be long enough to go through this hole that you made and wrap around itself as you're putting it around your bag. I would recommend doing at least 25 to 35 chains. So make sure that your chains are tight and even so they look neat. Did a total of 30 chains, and now we're going to go back into the same stitch where we slip stitched and slip stitch once again to join this to our pouch. Now I'm going to single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the chain 1 space after that, and then single crochet into these 3 stitches until I come back where I started. Now I've reached my corner over here. I'm just going to do 1 last single crochet in this corner space just to make it a little bit more even. And now to end my work, I'm going to slip stitch into the next single crochet like that. And now we're ready to fasten off, so you can chain 1, cut the yarn and pull, tighten, and that's how you can fasten off and secure. Now you've got your cute little AirPods pouch. After you're done weaving in all these ends and hiding them, you can put your AirPods in, or you can put your headphones in, coins, any other small item that fits. And then you can take the chains that we made and put them through the hole and tighten. So now whatever is inside won't fall out. Next, I'm going to show you how to make a pouch with a heart granny square, which is one of my favorite granny squares ever. Look how gorgeous it is. This one's a little bit tricky because it has a lot of different steps, but don't worry, I'm going to take you through it step by step. We're going to go ahead and start off by making a magic ring. I highly recommend making a magic ring instead of the fake chain magic rings. It will help you in the long run, and it will make sure that your hole actually closes up. You'll have a neater square and you'll be able to control your tension better. So let's do this together. Make sure that the tail of your yarn is facing you and hold on to it with your thumb. Then wrap the yarn around your fingers, making like an X shape, and then use your ring finger to hold that in place. Insert your hook under over here, grab onto this loop, bring it up and twist. Now using your ring finger, you're still holding this in place. You're going to grab onto it with your hook and you're going to chain 1 and let go. That's going to be your magic ring. Now we're going to chain 2 more to make a total of 3 chains, and these 3 chains count as our first double crochet. So we have to make a set of 3 double crochets 4 times. So since this is our first double crochet, we're going to insert 2 more into the magic ring. Yarn over, insert your hook into the magic ring. Make sure that you're working over these 2 over here. Pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through the other 2 loops, making your second double crochet. Now we're going to do our 3rd double crochet, so yarn over and go back in and that's going to be your first set of double crochets. So a set of 3 double crochets, I like to call them a cluster. So whenever I say insert a cluster, that means insert 3 double crochets. Now we're going to make the corner of the square, so we're going to chain 2 and repeat these steps 3 more times. So once again, insert a cluster or insert 3 double crochets into your magic ring. That's 1, 2, and 3, and then chain 2 to make the corner of the square. If it's getting hard to work into the magic ring, you can pull it a little bit tighter and then hold on to it like this so that it's easier to work in. I'm doing my next cluster, 1, 2, and 3. Once you're done, don't forget to chain 2. And there you go, you should have 1, 2, 3, and 4 sets of 3 double crochets. Now we're going to chain 2 and we're going to end round 1. So pull your magic ring in tighter. And now we're going to find that chain 3 that you did at the beginning. Chain 1, 2, and 3. That's the one at the very top, and you're going to insert your hook into that 3rd chain and slip stitch to end this round. Like that. Now we're going to go into the next double crochet, so that's going to be your chain 3. The stitch right after that, insert your hook into it, and we're going to do another slip stitch. Now we're going to chain 1, and we're going to be working into this first chain 2 space over here. So look, you've got chain 2, and then you've got a hole, so we're going to call this a chain 2 space. Now into this space you have to insert 8 double crochets. So yarn over and go ahead and insert 8 double crochets into the same space. So that's 2, 3, remember to keep count. That's what it'll look like once you're done with 8 double crochets. Now we're going to chain 1, make sure that these chains are really tight, and you're going to go into the next chain 2 space right over here. So insert your hook and single crochet. Like that, so we've finished one side of the heart. Now we're going to chain 1 again. Now we're going to look at these 3 double crochets here. So we're going to skip this one and we're going to insert our hook into this middle stitch right over here. We're going to do 2 single crochets into that same stitch. So that's 1, go back into the same stitch, and that's your second. Now you're going to chain 1 and do 2 more single crochets back into the same stitch. So that's going to be 1, and go back into that same stitch, and that's going to be 2. Now chain 1 again. We're going to go into the next chain 2 space over here and single crochet. So now we're repeating the same steps that we did on the other side. Chain 1 again. Now we're going to work into this chain 2 space, and we have to do 8 double crochets into the same space. So yarn over, insert your hook into that space. That's going to be 1. Go ahead and do a total of 8 double crochets. 3, and remember that I have the written pattern up on my blog for reference. If you get confused at any time, you can keep it open so that you don't have to keep rewatching the video again and again. And there we go. Now we're ready to end the hearts. Find the middle stitch right over here and insert your hook into it. This might be a little bit tricky to get through. And then you're going to slip stitch and chain 1. You can get your scissor and cut the yarn. Pull, turn it to the back, and tighten this way just so we can get the heart shape in the middle. And there you go, you're done with the first step. Now we're going to get our next color, and we're going to find that chain 1 right at the bottom of the heart. So you can look at your stitches to do this. So that's your first single crochet, second single crochet, that's your chain 1, and then you should have 2 more single crochets after. So you're going to insert your hook into this chain 1 right over here, but not the front loop, just the back loop. So that's front loop, back loop over here. So only go through one of the loops, which is the one at the back. Grab your yarn and pull it up like this. Now I'm going to chain 1, which will count as a slip stitch to secure this in place. Now we're going to be working only into the back loops of every stitch. That means that you're not going to insert your hook fully into the stitch. You're just going to go into one of the loops at the back to do the stitches in the pattern. So we're going to start off by doing a single crochet. I'm going to tighten this just to hide it. Next, we're going to do a half double crochet. So remember, you're only going into the back loops. Next, we're going to do a double crochet. Once again, back loop only. Now we're going to do a triple crochet. To do this, you have to yarn over it twice and go into the back loop. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops again, and yarn over, pull through 2 loops to complete. Now we're going to chain 2, and now we're working on making the corners of the square as well. We're going to go ahead and double crochet into the next stitch, so you're not skipping any of the stitches. You're just going one by one into all of the stitches following the pattern. After this, we're going to half double crochet. That's what your work will look like so far. Now we have to do 4 single crochets. So in the next 4 stitches, go ahead and do 1 single crochet in each. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're going to chain 2. We have to do another 4 single crochets. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we have to go right into this middle part over here. So remember where we slip stitch, we're going to go right into it and we're going to do a half double crochet. So this is where I'm inserting my hook in the middle and we're doing our half double crochet to create that center of the heart to bring it out more. Now we have to repeat the same pattern that we did. So we're going to go and do 4 single crochets. 2, 3, and 4. And repeat the same pattern. So I'm going to put it up on screen so you can follow along. After this, you chain 2 and you do another 4 single crochets, just like we did on the other side. So I did my triple crochet, double crochet. Those are all the stitches that I did following the pattern. Remember that you don't have to skip any stitch. Now I just have to do 1 half double crochet right over here. And then we're going to go into that same place where we attach the yarn and we're going to do 1 single crochet. If you have any extra stitches, then you can do your single crochet there. It's going to be completely fine. Now to end this, we're going to go back through where we started and we're going to do a slip stitch. Now I'm going to go ahead and chain 3. Now the chain 3 counts as our first double crochet, and I like inserting the next 2 double crochets into this first single crochet that we did over there. So go into that single crochet and do 2 more double crochets. So once again, we're making a cluster. And this is going to start our next round. So we're going to chain 1 to make the sides, and then after this, we have to work into the chain 2 space. Whenever you're working into the chain 2 space, you're going to repeat the same steps. And the steps are that you have to insert 3 double crochets. So insert 1 cluster into the chain 2 space, and then chain 2 and insert another 3 double crochets or another cluster back into that same chain 2 space. 1, 2, and 3. So whenever we work into the, after you're done, you always have to chain 1. Don't forget to chain 1. Now we're going to skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and into the 4th stitch, we're going to insert another cluster. So that's going to be 3 double crochets into the same stitch. Once you're done, don't forget to chain 1, and now we've reached our next chain 2 space. So remember the steps that we have to repeat. We have to do 1 cluster. So that's 3 double crochets, and then we have to chain 2 and insert another cluster back into that same space. So another 3 double crochets. And there you'll be done with the first side of your heart. Now we're going to chain 1 again, and this time we're going to work into the half double crochet that we did. So we're going to do another cluster over there, right in the middle. So when we're doing just 1 cluster, we're building the sides of the square, and when we're working to the chain 2 space, we're working on making the pointy part of the square or the sides corners. Now you're going to chain 1 again and repeat the steps that we do in every corner. So that's going to be 1 cluster, chain 2, and then another cluster into the same space. chain 1, and this time we're going to skip 2 stitches and insert a cluster into the 3rd stitch. So skip, skip, and there's your 3rd stitch. And we're going to insert 1 cluster. 1. So that's 3 double crochets, chain 1, and once again we've reached our next corner, so you know what to do. We're going to insert 1 cluster, chain 2, and then another cluster into the same space. And now it's time to end our square, and now it's time to end this round. So you're going to chain 1 and find the 3rd chain, so chain 1, 2, and 3, go into that top chain over there and slip stitch. Like that, chain 1, and we're ready to end this color as well. Pull and tighten. Now go ahead and get your next color. Now you can start this from any corner space that you want. There's no specific place where you have to join your yarn. It can be any one of the 4 corners that you have. I'm going to join it right here. Insert your hook through that chain 2 space, grab your yarn, pull it out, and we're going to secure it with a knot. Now I'm going to put my hook back into that space. I'm going to try to work over this end so that I don't have to weave it in later. We're going to pull up a loop and chain 3. So the chain 3 counts as our first double crochet, and we're going to repeat the steps that we do in every corner. So we have to insert 1 cluster. We already have our first double crochet, so we're going to do our 2nd and our 3rd. Then we're going to chain 2 and insert another cluster back into that same space. So we're doing the exact same steps from the previous round. It's just the place where we're inserting them that's going to be a little bit different. 2 and 3. So there you go, you're done with your first corner. Don't forget to chain 1 after your step, and now we're going to be working into these chain 1 spaces that we made. And into every chain 1 space, you have to insert 1 cluster. So after you've chained 1, you're going to insert 1 cluster into the chain 1 space. 2 and 3. Now you're going to chain 1 again. Now we're going to insert another cluster into the next chain 1 space. 1, 2, and 3. After this, don't forget to chain 1, and now you've reached your chain 2 space. That means that we're going to repeat the steps that we always do for the corner. We're going to insert 1 cluster, then chain 2, and insert another cluster back into that same space. So another 3 double crochets, and then you'll be done with one side. Now we're going to repeat the same steps that we did over here. So we're going to chain 1, insert 1 cluster into the next chain 1 space. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1 again. Now we've got our next chain 1 space, insert another cluster over there. 1, 2, and 3. Now chain 1 and you've reached your corner. So repeat the steps that we did over here and continue going all around your granny square till you come back over here. Once you've come all the way around, you're going to chain 1 after your cluster, and now we're ready to end our last round. So find that 3rd chain, chain 1, 2, and 3, insert your hook into it, and then you're going to slip stitch, chain 1, get your yarn and cut, pull and tighten. Now go ahead and make 2 granny squares, 1 for the front and 1 for the back. Next, we're going to join these 2 squares together. So these are the right sides, the sides that look a little bit cleaner, and then these are the wrong sides. I want you to place your work with the right sides facing each other like this. And we're going to be joining 3 sides, 1, 2, and 3. So you're going to, of course, leave the top open so you can put things inside. Go ahead and insert your hook into the chain 2 space of both of the squares like this in one corner. Grab your yarn and pull it through, and then tie a knot to secure it in place. Insert your hook back through that space, pull up a loop, and chain 1 to secure again. Now we're going to be slip stitching the sides together. That means that you have to go through one of the stitch in one square and then the corresponding stitch on the other side. So for example, if you go through the first double crochet over here, you have to make sure that you're going through the corresponding double crochet on the other side, not one that's too far away and skipping all the others. So just be careful with that and align your work. Then you're going to pull the yarn through, making a slip stitch. and repeat. So you're going to go through the stitch in both the granny squares and slip stitch to join them together, and you're going to do this all the way down. When you reach your chain one space, you can just go through the hole and slip stitch. So you don't have to struggle to go through the chain, you can just go through the hole and slip stitch. Go ahead and do this all the way down. It's going to be a little bit different when you reach your chain two space in the other corner. For this one, don't just go through the hole and slip stitch. We want it to be a little bit neater. So you're going to try and go through each of the chains. So that means you're going to try and go through both of the chains and slip stitch through them instead of the hole. I know it's going to be a little bit hard to see with the white, but I'm basically just going through one of the loops in the chains, in both of the chains on both sides, and then slip stitching to join. And once you're done with that, you can continue like normal, slip stitching through both the stitches in both the squares and continue joining until you've done all three sides. Once you're done, we're going to turn our work inside out. So we can turn it to the clean side, and that's what your pouch will look like. Now from the place where you were still slip stitching, go ahead and chain one and insert your hook into the space, and now we're going to single crochet all the way around. So you're going to go into the top stitches and the top spaces, and you're just going to insert one single crochet into each of these stitches and spaces. So do this all the way around. We're just building a little bit of a border at the top so that we can make the holes for our drawstring to go through. Once you've come all the way around, you're going to slip stitch into that very first single crochet that you made. Then you're going to chain one, and now we're going to start our next round at the top. That's what your work will look like. Now we're going to half double crochet into that same stitch where you just slip stitched. Now we're going to chain one, skip a stitch, and half double crochet into the next stitch. And this is the pattern that we're going to repeat all the way around. So you're going to chain one, skip a stitch, and half double crochet into the next stitch. Chain one, skip a stitch, half double crochet into the next one. Remember that you only have to skip one stitch. Once you've done this all the way around, we're going to end our work. So just chain one, go into that very first half double crochet that you made at the beginning and slip stitch through it like that. Now we're going to make our last row, and this is just going to be a row of double crochets all the way around. So you're going to chain two to start, insert a double crochet into that same stitch where you just slip stitched. Now go ahead and insert one double crochet into every chain one space, and then one double crochet into the half double crochet stitch. And you're just going to repeat this all the way around. So inserting one double crochet into every chain one space, as well as one double crochet into the half double crochet stitches from before. Once you've come all the way around, we're ready to end our last round. So you're just going to slip stitch into that very first double crochet that you made, chain one, and you can cut your yarn off. Tighten to secure, and you're done with your pouch. To make the little bow for the drawstring pouch, I just made a slip knot and I chained 80. Once you're done chaining, you're just going to cut your yarn, pull, and then tighten this like really tight, and then you can trim it like that and repeat the same step on the other side. So tighten the slip knot that you made like that, and there you've got your little string. Now here's how you're going to put it on your pouch. You're going to insert your drawstring from the back through these little holes that you made. And you're just going to get it to come to the front side. So you're just going to keep, I don't know how to explain it because it's kind of just a go with the flow kind of thing. You already have your holes, so just insert your drawstring through the holes until you come onto the front side, and then you just tie it into a bow. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So you're just bringing the drawstring in and out. And there you go, your drawstrings should come out at the front like this. And now when you want to close your pouch, you're just going to tie a knot and pull. So that's going to close up your pouch, nothing will fall out of it. Then when you want to make a bow, you can make a little loop, wrap it around and tighten. That's going to make a cute little bow for your pouch. And there you go. That's how you can make the granny square pouch.